Greetings. Welcome to Conversation with Tony Mobley. On Conversation with Tony, on Conversations with Tony Mobley today, I have Mr. Kenn Jordan coming on again with me. This is part two of the Echo journey that Mr. Jordan is on. And this is episode 15 of 2024. And yes, we're back. We're looking forward to sharing with you a conversation. This is going to be a little bit different than the way we normally do things. And so there will only be questions if you guys ask questions. So I ask that you put in your questions so that you can find out about this journey that Kenn Jordan is on. We did have a conversation on December 4th, and that conversation will be coming to you soon in the form of shorts. And so you can go to the YouTube chat, and there you will see the Mukana links for the Mukana chat where you can ask your questions. Those questions can be voted up and down. And that is courtesy of Alex Lindsay in 090. And if you would like to watch this conversation, not on YouTube, but on our website, it's conversationswithtonymobley.com. And so now we're going to get right into it. And so I'm going to say, welcome, Kenn Jordan. I'm so happy to have you back again. And I just have to tell our audience that we had a fantastic conversation in the pre-show as we were preparing to get started tonight. And so I'm hoping that we can share some of what we talked about in the pre-show in this conversation. And again, welcome and thank you for coming because I know it's very late for you.
Yeah, no problem, Tony. Yes, I think I've lost count now how many times I've been on, but it's always a pleasure. Yes, even though it's now 1 in the morning here. So, but no, it's always a pleasure to be on the show.
Well,
And
thank you again for being here. We're going to get right to it. So let's talk about the echo journey, where you are. Tell us what has changed since the last time we talked.
um, a few things have changed. Not that much actually. We're still presently just a quick recap for those who might have seen the first one. Um, um, we moved from Surrey in the UK to Ireland. We're presently renting, but I think it's a 150-year-old farmhouse that we're presently renting while we're still in paperwork and contracts for the property that we're hoping to complete on early in the new year. Um, And what we want to do there, we want to build a fully off-grid um, um, home. This It's going to require quite a lot of renovation, and I built the website ourecojourney.com to kind of track that progress or lack of, you will see, um, on us doing renovations and turning that property into a fully off-grid home where we will have there'll be a studio for me to work, a studio for Helen, also music studio so I can do. You might see some of my speakers there for my building a Atmos surround sound system. Um, so that's what the website, when I built that, because when we originally decided to kind of move to Ireland, it was always been in Helen's. Helen's Irish, my wife, and she always had the dream of coming back here. Was always I was aware of that, but we had a very settled home in where we were in Ashted, and it took probably about 15 years in there for me to get it finally everything done, all the snag lists that you have when you have the house finally completed, my studio properly laid out. I was just about to rebuild the music system in there, and everything was done. And then Helen showed me this property, which isn't the actual property that we're actually putting on now, that we're proposing to get in the new year. Um, it's another one. Um, and I was intrigued by it because when I looked at the price, because I was always looking at the price in UK pounds, I thought, oh, that's a really good price. And we get that much land and it had its own well. And I thought, oh, yeah, we could actually, I'd always, 'cause where we had in Ashford, we had solar panels, we had a battery wall. A battery wall is basically because obviously, sun doesn't shine at night, and so the energy that we generated from the solar panels we had on the roof would store in the batteries wall, and then you'd use that when there wasn't solar. It wasn't a very big battery wall, but it was supplementing the energy that we used. But anyway, so that was the start of the journey of looking at that, and then actually I realized actually that's not pounds, that's euros, and the pound is stronger than euro, so it was actually even better value than we thought. But that was one of a number of properties that we've looked at, and I kind of again I cataloged the pre-journey in on the website and the blog. You see some of that is written there, but yes, that's the whole ourecojourney.com website is really designed to build to, so you can follow our progress on how, me, a 40-year veteran of
Well,
digital design and marketing, to using those skills and
it's a great website,
that and
and,
that.
I'm spending a lot of time on it, and I think I told you before the show started that you inspired me to consider trying to create some AI music for the
Mm,
house of worship that I'm working with. So I intend to try to do that. So I just wanted to say that it's a fantastic website, and I encourage everyone who is watching or who will watch this conversation to spend some time at the website because Ken has it very laid out, and any category that you're interested in terms of this kind of experience, I think he lays it out very well. So you can go to each
mm.
section by section to glean the things that you are interested in. We have a question from Dr. Clark, Dr. Chris Clark from Tempe, Arizona. And Dr. Clark's question is, I just read about a balcony solar, a small scale supplement to grid power that can simply install by a homeowner. Apparently, this this approach has caught on in Germany and Spain as a way to reduce one's power bill by up to one third with zero installation costs. Is the balcony solar part of your eco journey?
It won't be part of ours. I think I'm aware of it. If it's the one by EcoFlow, who I have one of their large battery banks, um, where that's their balcony solar really designed for people who live in apartments, where you don't have the like a garden where you can put solar, or a roof that you can put. So they're designed for people who live in apartments, and the solar panels go on the balcony. They go as the kind of the fence of the balcony, and then with the battery wall. So you're just utilizing the sun from that. We were fortunate enough, the property we're looking to purchase has several acres of land, and we want to use some of that to have a solar farm, so that we can generate. I mean, we're in the what's called the sunny southwest, which is where of Ireland, but Ireland isn't, it's not, quite renowned for its that much sun. It's still is quite sunny, but it's not California in terms of the amount of sunshine that we get. So, we really want to utilize what sun we do get. So I'll be putting a much bigger solar bank, instead of ground-based solar, and having a number of panels there, and then a big battery wall to sort that. But no, the balcony, if it's the one by, oh, I know one by EcoFlow that they do, which is great for people in apartments. They're basically just hanging outside the these panels, and then with a plug that plugged into a battery, and just yeah, utilizing, there's this this massive, energy generator in the sky, all the sun, and it pumps out more than enough energy that we, if we can utilize it. So yes, any um, the balcony solar is great for people who sort of live in apartments, and even they can kind of generate their own.
So you mentioned a farm.
Mm.
So when you talk about the electricity, the solar panels, you intend to have more than one panel?
Yeah, we intend to. 'Cause normally, we well, where we had an Ashted, we had a small garden, but we had, the roof. We filled our roof with solar panels, but then that was the limit of what you could have as blended on the side of the roof. Um, Property that we're buying has a number of acres of land, and so that enables you to have solar panels mounted on the ground, which is actually benefit of that is, you can, they're much easier to maintain the panels. Not that they need much maintenance, mainly, cleaning, but it's much easier to do if they're ground based. And so it means that we can have substantial amounts of solar, um, because we want to have, an excess of solar, and so that, and a very large battery wall. Um, and so we can, um, be um, so we're not having to rely on that, on a really sunny day for us to be able to, we'll have enough that the solar will be big enough, and a battery will be big enough that, we can not have to be reliant upon the electricity grid. We still obviously will be connected to it. So, if we did need to top up, we can always use that. But my goal is to be as independent and as off grid as possible. So it's not just solar. Obviously, for solar with battery wall, it would be Guiana Islands. Having your own well is a common thing in rural Ireland. There's a lot of um, ground-based water, so we'll have our own well, um, and then obviously enough land that we can grow some crops and stuff. We'll still obviously, I don't envisage totally becoming a farmer, but um, growing as much as we can
Yes.
would be a good thing to have.
Will there be overflow that you could sell back to the
It could be
utility?
we're looking at that. The um, Yes, we could do that. I mean, if we, if there's a, we, depending on the site, there is amount of solar panels that you can have without needing planning permission for. If we're wanting to get a really big one, then you do need, kind of just permission kind of thing. But because it's going to be on our own land and it's not going to be overlooked by anyone else, so there's not going to be any issue with that. So yes, they do have schemes here where you could sell back to the grid, and so yes, we can be our own um, energy generator, and that's definitely that's definitely an option that we're considering. But there's a lot that we need to do because, as I said, the house is going to need full renovation. So it's all going to be a balance on how much money we've spent on renovating the property and building what we want to, as well as having solar. We're also going to have what's called geothermal. Um, that's where um, you utilize um, the energy from the ground. There's normally kind of air to heat pumps where you would lay a series of pipe works um, just below the ground, normally about 2, 3 feet under the ground, and because the ground temperature stays relatively constant, and the difference between the ground temperature and the air temperature is enough to run what's called a heat pump. Um, but the more efficient version of that um, is a deep borehole. And if you drill a very deep borehole, then that temperature under there is even more constant and a lot cooler. And the difference between that temperature and the air temperature again is what a heat pump does. And so that would be used for the hot water and underfloor heating in the house. So yeah, there are a number of uh, and ecological, sustainable energy
This is
options that we can have.
this is fascinating. So I'm curious about so with the growing the crops, are you going to have to take the water from the well and do irrigation, or is there going to be enough rainfall to
There's
sustain
more than enough.
growth?
Yeah, the island is when they call it the Emerald Isle because it's very green. So there's more than enough. Yeah, that the rainfall in Ireland for growing crops. I mean, the majority of the land is rural and farmland. Where we're presently renting this farmhouse, we're surrounded by 40 to 60 acres of just lush farmland. So it's a very, very fertile island is for growing stuff. So that's not an issue. So yes, the ground well is just really so that we're independent and having our own water. But yeah, the no rainfall isn't an issue in Ireland for growing crops. That's
Um,
not going to be a problem.
so we have a comment from Robert Sprite. He says, "Hi, Tony. Hi from Toronto. I'm assuming that's Canada. Orange whistling." So thank you, Robert Sprite, for your comment. Um, so we've talked about the well, and so is there any issues of having to need to dig for another well, or do they run dry? Or I don't know anything about these kinds of things, and so
Okay.
I'm really
Yeah,
curious.
the water table in Ireland is, there's a lot of ground-based water. So drilling a well, as a most of rural Ireland, they have, you'd have your own well. Even though the property we're having, I think it's still is connected to mains water. Um, but we'd like to be, as I said, to be as off-grid as possible, not be reliant upon the services, and so that's why we would have a well. So yeah, that's a very common thing in rural Ireland to have your own well. So um, yeah, the water table and the ground is because there's a lot of rain and stuff in Ireland. So yeah, having your own well in Ireland is very common. So it's not an issue at all.
Can you tell the difference in the taste of the water from the well as opposed to the
Presently, yeah, I still, again, so not fully eco, still drinking. I drink bottled water. Um, um, it's but yeah, the water here is very soft. Unlike where we were in Ashted, I actually had a big water softening system because the water was so hard. The scale that built up. But in Ireland, the water is very soft. But yeah, it's um, yes, you eventually would kind of drink. Yes, you can have the ground-based water, obviously going through a filtration system, so then it's it's easily drinkable. The tap water there.
Okay. I'm curious now. We know that your wife wanted to come home. We know that she wanted to come home, and it sounded like it was a great opportunity in terms of the economics of it, moving back. But what is your desire as far as the whole really being off the grid and being
Mm.
independent and being self-reliant and producing your food? What is behind that?
Suppose it's um just um being able to, because well, the being able to be in a place where that you're not being not reliant upon services that are provided by the government or councils or whatever, and being independent. I've always been pretty independent minded, and so the I just love the idea of that no matter what happens politically in the world or with energy crisis or price of fuel and things like that, that we can be, kind of um, secure from that. So when we get older and eventually retire, that we're not that we can be sustainable. So it's less, obviously there's a very sustainable green aspect to that as well of utilizing the resources, the natural resources that are just there. The amount of energy the sun puts out. The world doesn't need to be actually burning stuff. That's also another thing that was for me, and just the oil is an unbelievable resource in terms of how much energy you get from a liter or gallon of this almost wonder fuel. If you think of how it was many millions of years that it took to generate it, this could be there's something quite unique, not just on this planet, but probably maybe even in the whole solar system, universe, that we have this resource. And it just seems weird that we burn it, to derive energy from it, rather than, putting it into things which can be recycled. So it just seems a waste, that this great resource that we, utilize in terms of plastics and things like that, what it can be, um, what it's used for, and the one use that it's mostly used for is actually you can't reverse, we're just burning it.
Right,
And, and I suppose that just seems wasteful, and um, especially now, there's less of the technology and the price of batteries, obviously electric cars, things like that, just now seems as, and so I'm not kind of trying to push that agenda and everything. And that's really what the website was. There's small steps that you can take. And it's not just kind of saving the planet, which is always seems a weird thing to me because the planet will save itself. It's saving us and the planet. The earth will regenerate. Mother Nature will eventually take care of itself. But we need to take care of ourselves. Um, and being more sustainable, utilizing natural resources, wind, solar, waves, energy, that's producing a ton of power that we can just by, utilizing it, I said with solar panels or windmills or wave, and you can use the power of the tides to kind of reduce energy. It just seems just a more sensible thing to do rather than burning a resource that you cannot reclaim back. You know, the electric car battery, you can recycle 95% of it. Once you burn your gas, you can't, there's no turning that thing back.
Yeah,
Can't get
you
it
can't
back.
get it
It's gone.
back.
You can't get
Yeah,
it back.
it's gone.
So
You're
it's
right. It's
gone.
gone.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
to me, it was just seemed that's just more sensible of it. Why shouldn't you strive to do that rather than not just about obviously carbon emissions and all of that, and there's big arguments about that or whatever. Even if you don't think on that, just doesn't it just seem more sensible not to burn this resource, but to utilize it in a way that we can recycle it? That to me just seems a sensible thing to do, and as well as and also it's sustainable, and we're, as I said, not helping to save the planet because the planet will save itself. It's
right.
we think that we can control Mother Nature. I'm very aware of it when I go swimming most mornings. I couldn't. I went to the beach
Let's
this
talk
morning
about
to
it.
swim. Yes,
Let's
that's a
let's
big.
talk about the swimming.
Yes,
So,
that's a brand. That's a very. Yeah, it's one of the things that I would never thought, because I'm not big into swimming, especially going to the sea. I think the movie Jaws has a lot to the thought of being, not being, anyway, we all know Jaws and I think that, but it was a friend of Helen's. She she was here. Well, actually, let me take it back. First, I've been here about 6 months now. Um, and when walking around, I remember walking back from the beach. We're very lucky here. There are literally, there's three gorgeous beaches. One which I go swimming to, one which is massively long. When the tide's out, endless almost of sand, uh, really fine white sand. And me being from the Caribbean, know what a beautiful sandy beach looks like. And the fine sand, they just like in the Caribbean, it's up from the temperature. But anyway, uh, when I visited, there was a woman. She was walking to the beach. She had a swim cap on and a swim coat, and we just had chatting. She was, in her 70s probably, and she said, no, she goes swimming every day. I thought, oh, wow, that's something. And then a friend of Helen's, she came to stay with us the night, and she goes swimming regularly. And so she said, come along, let's go. And the first time going in, I just remember, just kind of catch my breath with it's so cold. But it was so
oh
invigorating.
man.
That first thing in the morning, seeing the sunrise, and it was, and eventually got the body got used to the temperature and just the stillness. Then because it was a beautiful calm day, and it was wow. You just felt this connection. And I think it was after about the third or fourth time, it's amazing what your body can get used to, and it becomes addictive. So first thing in the morning, before I start anything, go down to the beach and go into the sea. Sometimes it's just literally in and out because the the waves, but if it's really calm, just want to stay there and just until it gets your body going to get too cold. I wear gloves, and neoprene gloves and neoprene socks when I go in because the extremities still get cold because it's only 10, 11 degrees the water. That's degree C, which I think is about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Um, but yeah, that's something that I would have never thought, and it's now, yeah, it's just a beautiful daily habit, and it really kind of ties you into to nature. But you're very, very aware of the things like tides, the current, all of that thing. As so, on my Apple Watch, I've got this tide monitor. So let me turn that on and let's see. So yeah, so it's presently low tide now, and so you kind of get in tune with nature, but the power of the waves and the sea. So you have to be very, conscious of that. And it's yeah, as I said, the it's really getting back to tying, being closer, that closer connection to nature, and that sea swim. You know, I'm lucky because we're right by the coast, and I can literally walk down to that beach. And swim every day, but I can see why people do it. It's it's really, you just feel just, the kind of a life force in doing it, and that
It,
connection.
it sounds like it is part of your health journey as well, because
It is, yes,
when
yeah,
you when you
and
think
I'm glad
about
you brought that up. Yeah, yeah.
when you think about controlling your food,
Mm,
controlling your water, and your exercise, I mean that's the trifecta. I mean,
yes, yes, yes,
and
and
you're
that's something.
controlling the environment to a certain extent.
Yes, yes, yes. So that's 'cause I love to cook. And I got into cooking because of my diet. I can eat anything. Um, I follow a paleo diet, and that's purely just from research that I was doing. I was heavy into cycling. I mean, something like anything I I take up, I kind of, if I enjoy it, I go head first in, just no stopping. And I got into cycling quite late. I was in my 30s when I really got into cycling. Um, and I would cycle for hundreds of miles. Um, I did what's called there's an events called Audax. That's AUDAX. And when I joined that, I was realized I thought I was the only one enjoying just getting on the bike and just cycling and cycling. But there's a lot of us out there who do that. I need to get back into that. I haven't done that in a while. The kind of, those kind of, 100-mile plus cycling. I entered a number of big, what's called Audex events. Um, Big one was there's one that you cycle from Paris to Brest and back, which is 1,200 kilometers. I did London to Edinburgh and back, which is 1,400 kilometers. I can't remember what that is in miles. I did an event in Ireland, which is called the Celtic Knot, which I think that was again a 1,200 kilometer 3 day event. So you cycle 360 odd kilometers a day, kind of thing. But
Wow.
yeah, that what helped sustain me to do that was me changing my diet to paleo diet, and so yeah, that's the diet I follow. So that led me to cooking myself, and yeah, being in Ireland and following a paleo diet, because I don't eat any grains, no potatoes, which is like the national dish here. So not having potatoes or things like that, and being in Ireland sounds a very strange thing. But yeah, that's another part of this kind of journey as well. Is the health aspect of it. So eating healthily, um, doing more exercise, which is the one thing that I still haven't. I need to do more of. That's the one part I'm missing. So I'm eating healthily. I go into early morning dip, but that's not really kind of burning energy. So um, yeah, that's the other part. But again, all of that I want to. So as well as the tech side, like photography, drones, music. I'm big into my music, but the whole AI music thing now, which is there. I know I'm jumping about, but um, the was a great thing, the quality, the audio that I produced. Because I shoot one thing I said, because I'm doing the website and you need to make sure that you record everything. So um, so always, have the camera or drones. Now I have autonomous drones that I use. So I film everything so that I have this catalog of things that I can then put out. And so I was doing that, and I was doing a lot of drone footage, which is on the Our Eco Journey YouTube channel. There's hundreds of videos on there. Not all of them are published yet. I still haven't properly launched that channel, but I will do. But anyway, I was putting up this drone footage, and obviously, when the drone footage, there's no noise. All the audio is cut out because all you'd hear would be the buzz of the drone. And so I thought, oh, I'll put some music to it. Um, I've got a
And
few
it's great.
music tracks that I've
Your
done,
music is
but
great.
yeah, I've got so many videos. I thought, well, let me, utilize AI to help me write some lyrics, and I use suno.com. Version 4 is the new one that it has. The quality of the audio and the music that put in, so you put in the kind of genre, the prompt, you can put in your own lyrics, and it produces, as with everything, with all of these text to either image or now text to video or text to music, that you've got to craft the prompt to get what you want, and a few iterations you've got to put through to get the exact track you want. But it's the quality of that audio. It's not perfect, but it's more than good enough for an audio soundtrack on YouTube. And also, then you get rid of any. There's no issue then with copyright. Copyright is a big thing on on YouTube videos. You can't just use any piece of music, or the copyright strikes, but you don't have any of that because you generated it yourself. So yeah, that's another thing that that I've been doing, is the um, AI
The music,
music.
the
I
AI
use
music.
AI for work.
Yes.
Anyway, it's part of the work and build that I do in terms of using the using using the AI engines
Ken, guess what?
for.
Dr. Clark is back again.
Oh, and I must thank Dr. Before you think, I've got to thank Dr. Clark, because on the last show, he recommended this book, This Is Happiness, which I finished now. I've got the audio book of it, and started listening, and just couldn't stop until I finished. It's so poignant to where I'm actually living, this 150-year-old farmhouse. And it kind of took you back in time, because it's about when Ireland was electrified, when they started putting in electricity. And it's a gorgeous book. It's like a poetry the author done, but it really resonated with me because of the um, you could I could took me back in time, and I could imagine the people that lived in this farmhouse here back in that time when electrification came to Ireland. But sorry, interrupted. But I've
No,
got to
no, no
thank
problems. I
Dr.
want you to
Clark
share
for
the
his
title again. Can you
recommendation.
share the title
Yeah,
one more time?
this is happiness.
This is
This is
happiness.
happiness. Yeah. If you go to the website, it's the latest blog post I wrote is about it on there. You'll find it on the Our Eco Journey website. But this is happiness,
This
is
is
the name of
happiness.
the book. But anyway,
Okay. So Dr. Clark says, Ken, have you thought about becoming the Alex Lindsay of sustainable living? For example, you could start a live stream show with a panel of experts who can answer questions posted by people who wish to become independent off the grid and the commercial food distribution, clothing, education, and more.
that's a great idea. Yes, that is a great idea. That the um yeah, I have to think about. I have to seriously think about that. That sounds something very intriguing. I'm developing. that for general web building. There's a new site that I'll do, probably come back on Tony's show and talk about this other project that I'm doing, where I want to teach what I do to others. The on building, on how to build I believe everyone should have their own um, their own website, because everyone has their own social channels that they love, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, X, um, LinkedIn. But I believe you should all have your own little place on the web where where you add information, so you don't just reliant upon the social channels where you put that content. You should feed out to it, but from your own spot, and teach everyone to how to build and do a website, just like our eco journey, because the way I built that, it is very easy for anyone else to be able to build that and follow. And that's what I wasn't going to do, a YouTube channel about that and showing people how that works. But you're you're right, Chris. The doing one um, on sustainable living and just
Sustainable living.
talking about
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
This is
that's a great idea. That is a great idea, and that's
we can always thank Dr. Clark for coming up with something
Mm.
that inspires us to continue to push the envelope. So again, we want to say thank you, Dr. Clark, and please continue to ask questions or comments. Um, Ken, I was just wondering, why do you think um, there's not a mass exodus of people doing what you're doing? You know, I would think in the climate that that's currently in the world, that more people would, and maybe people are, I'm just not aware of it.
They
Um,
are, Tony. They are. This isn't a yeah, not an outliner in this. It kind of started with the um, pandemic, when people were, was forced to work from home, and then people realized actually you can do that, and then not being wanting to go back, to the normal kind of 9 to 5, or commute. I mean, the commute. Unfortunately for Helen, she still has to occasionally commute, and that just that time waste of that. So when um, when people are going to live at home, then they were just spending more time and just recognizing, the benefits of that, or if they had a fortunate to have a garden, they would do that. Or now that we can work remotely, I mean, obviously this show is testament to that. I'm thousands of miles away in Ireland, and I'm chatting with you, Tony. We've never met physically, but I feel you as a closer friend as anyone. So, it's proven that you can work remotely and be productive. Then that means that we can do this anywhere, you know. So, that the leap from, the Ashted, Surrey to Ireland, for me and my work, it wasn't any big change. All I needed was internet. And actually, we have faster internet here than we do in Surrey, because I've got glass fiber. I can see the box right there, and that's fiber directly in there. So I have 1 gig up and down. Um, so that means we can, as long as I've got internet, we can work anywhere. And actually, didn't have fiber. Before the fiber was connected, I was using my Starlink, and that was more than good enough. It was adequate, more than adequate enough for that. So that means you can work anywhere, and they're that for then giving you that freedom to, once you have, if you're lucky enough to be in a job that you can do that, then you have a choice of where you can be, and then that that means that. So me being off grid doesn't mean I'm being disconnected from the world. I'm as connected to the world as I always was. And yeah, there are more and more people are doing this, whether it's within, see a lot of people in RVs, so that they they can be anywhere and travel, nothing than that. But no, it's becoming more and more of a
Lifestyle.
of a lifestyle and a life choice. And I knew that's why when because when we originally envisaged come here, it was it was only originally to be. I don't want to go through another, 10, 15 years of, I want to just move into somewhere where everything is done. We're doing the exact opposite of that. We're starting again, but the location is so gorgeous that, and okay.
It's
And
worth the
that was a
sacrifice.
condition of it. This is then, yeah,
Yeah.
worth the sacrifice and me doing a website to, to
Journal.
to journal this is going to be
Yes.
of interest and therefore then you know commercially that's going to be I know it's a very big industry, but there is a lot of commercial aspects to that. For example, people, companies like EcoFlow with their battery walls and being able and all other kind of sustainable things. That's I know that can be I can very much commercialize that. So even though that wasn't front of mind, it was part of it. I'm still still very business focused in what we do. That enables me to have the kind of toys and gadgets we have around me. I haven't even discussed yet the whole immersive thing because I've got an Apple Vision Pro, and I always smile.
Before we go
Yeah, we
there,
won't go that. Oh,
we're going to go
it's
there.
another
But
option.
I want to ask you about. I know
Mm.
that you have a Tesla. Do you have more than
Yes.
one vehicle?
We have two electric vehicles. The first one we have was an MG SUV. That was because when we were in the UK, the Tesla Model Y wasn't available, and we wanted to move away from our gas-powered SUV. And there wasn't. I said the Model Y wasn't available in the UK then, so we bought an MG uh, SUV. So we still have that. And about 6, 7 months ago, got a Tesla, um, chalk and cheese, everything. It is literally just a computer on wheels.
Okay.
There was a recent update to it. There's regular updates on an iPhone or smartphone. You know, New update, new feature comes to it. Um, yeah, the Tesla, even though there isn't that much of an infrastructure in Ireland, because I think there are only four official Tesla charge points. Um, but there's all but normally that network in Europe is vast, and in the UK is vast. So, but yeah, I do love my Tesla. It is the ultimate tech. If you're into tech, the gadgets on there.
Now,
We
this is the question. Are
mm.
you able to charge your vehicles where you are right now?
Yes, we don't have a battery, we don't have a wall charger because it's a rented property, but it's just a normal wall outlet or 3-pin plug in here in Ireland. So it's not fast charge, but when you plug it in you plug it in at night, and in the morning, you know you're fully charged again. So yes, so so even without the need of a wall charge, it's just a plug. We have an extension, literally, it's an extension lead to the electrical outlets out there. Plug the car in and doing that, and that's again just another. It's just a convenience. I mean, it's not just that this Tesla is the best electric car. It's just the best car. It's just when you're having that, things like I said, the the MG that we first bought, it's fully electric. What, 4 or 5 years old, never been serviced. He was servicing. The only thing we have put into it is screen wash. That it just the now because it was an MG, the normal dealer network, they still wanted every year for you to come in and do that. With a Tesla, it's over the air. If there's any issue, over the air updates. Like there was a recall on the Tesla because of and it was an over the air update. There's no going into a garage and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, yes, there is an initial cost, which is slightly higher than a gas powered car, but the savings in the medium term, let alone the long term, are vast. The price of, if you have low rate electricity, and obviously we want to be generating our own, but with low rate electricity, you're and with kind of an average mileage, you'd be spending, well, I suppose the equivalent of maybe what, $150 for the year to do 10,000 miles. That's the difference in the pricing for that. And they said the servicing, there isn't anything, it's a electric motor. There's no engine, there's no oil change, there's no, that it's just more efficient. It's not so much about, yes, it's less carbon use, you're not burning the stuff, but it's just a much cheaper than in the medium term and long term way of transporting yourself. But yeah, but the Tesla is pretty cool, and I've got a mini Starlink attached to the sunroof. So I have broadband access anywhere that I drive the car. And again, that's been testament to Starlink. It's just literally the mini
I, I,
dish.
I think I need you to
That's another
repeat
thing
that.
on that. Yeah,
So
okay.
you're
There
saying
is,
that you have the Starlink attached
I have a
to
mini
the Tesla?
Starlink.
A
Yes, I have a
mini
big
Starlink.
Starlink, which we used here before we had the fiber. But then there's Starlink Mini, which is probably about that big, about the size of an iPad. And I mount it inside the car because there's a big glass roof, so it's suctioned to the inside of the car. Now the Tesla already has connectivity. You don't need, but you can't, utilize that connectivity if you want to work, if you want to do, well, you can actually, but you can't. If you've got a laptop, you can't connect directly to it. So the big screen in the Tesla has its own connectivity because it has a modem built into it. But if you want broadband, I want, the because I'm doing want to do I won't go into that. But yes, the Starlink means that I've got broadband access. So it's a Wi-Fi point, and so our phones, my laptop gets broadband access when I'm in the car, even in motion. So as long as you don't go over, they'd say over 100 miles an hour, which you shan't do anyway because of the speed limit, but you will get connectivity. And I've done a Zoom call um, in the car in motion and had connectivity. Yeah, that's
Wow.
the mini Starlink. I will write a piece up about that and about how that works. And yeah, that was a cool addition
N-
to the electric car.
So now we're going to get into the toys. So let's
Yes,
talk
the
about the
toys.
toys now.
Yeah, my Vision Pro. Um, the in doing another benefit in Ireland, for if you're a creative, there's very big tax breaks for creatives in Ireland, and I want to shoot, which I've been doing when I'm on the beach. I shoot. There's lots of videos of just the camera and just the sound of the waves coming in, the videos like that. So immersive videos because the countryside around here and the beachfront is gorgeous, beautiful, and can share that, filming that in immersive, and then if you were on a Apple Vision Pro, and you can transport yourself to the beaches that are on my doorstep here. So that's another thing that I want to do, build and doing immersive video and the utilizing the Vision Pro for that. I always smile because I always watch Alex Lindsay on Mac Break Weekly. And when he says, "Oh, yeah, it's big," because it is a very big investment. When it's like $3,500. Not in the UK when I pay for it, it's £5,000, which nearer what $7,000 to the cost of it. So that's a very big toy that's on there. But I want to utilize it for doing the immersive stuff. So the
So you're talking about the
release
Black Magic camera.
the release of that Blackmagic camera,
Oh my
the
goodness.
temptation, that's a very big because recording, because I use my iPhone to shoot immersive, but it's not the same. It's just a little window. When you see submerged, I saw the film that they submerged, that they shot, which is probably shot with that camera, and it just the being enveloped in that. So yeah, that's a nice big one, but maybe I shouldn't say that on here because Helen will be listening to that and thinking, well, yeah, what do you mean on that? But yeah, maybe that's when, yeah, that's going to require but
Well,
if
one,
our eco journey takes off and the sponsorship kind of things in, there might be a thing
yeah,
there.
I
But
was I
no,
was
that's
about to
that's something
say
to
that
think about.
it's
Yeah,
definitely going to pay for itself based on the things that you're planning to do.
exactly. Yes,
You know,
no,
it's
there is the the countryside round here is just needs to be properly captured. The iPhone does as great as it is, all my other cameras just kind of don't do it justice. And the fact of be able to record at 8K per eye to record that, yeah, but I have yeah, that would be a well, if that
and
comes
and
about, I'll be back. You'll be one of the first to know, Tony, because we'll do a show about that. But yeah, that's
and Ken, if you get it, you could always, after you've exhausted what you want to do, you could always rent it out.
no, that I mean, yes, I mean the whole rental aspect of that. Yeah, I know that could be done. The yeah, again, that's another good business opportunity and planning for all that. So that will be my persuasion of to Helen. So no, look, it's a very good look at this, the business side of it kind of works out. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But
So, are you doing in terms of actually getting people to buy into sponsorships in terms of what you're doing? Is besides the actual website, are there other things that you're doing to try to drum interest in
uh,
people supporting you?
I haven't focused on that yet. I mean, I was doing like some experiments on the YouTube, so there's a couple, two of the videos where I was experimenting with the thumbnails and how to market to them and stuff like that. So, that's why I got 14,000 views within 3, 4 days on one of them and 11,000. Like I think Helen's swimming one, I pushed that one. I did the audio, did the thumbnail, and just to test what my thinking on how the algorithm would work, and then got 11,000 views in 3, 4 days. So I haven't yet done done the full marketing push on that because really the bigger capital items that we will be getting once we get the house and go through the whole architecture and planning phase, that's when really the opportunities come, and that's not really going to come until sometime next year when up to the fingers crossed the paperwork and stuff is done. But no, all the pieces are in place, yes, to do that. So um I know how to do it because I do it for others. That's my job. My day-to-day work is um, getting companies who are online and making them, to come up with solutions to, further their business. And so I know what to do. I know, who to market to. I know how to do that on the social channels. And again, I do want to share this part with others, and I think that's a big one for me now is I've done it kind of piecemeal with some other with others, and it was because I always want to help. And then because there are some others who were trying it, and I was just kind of doing kind of too much. And I think the best way of me being able to help more people is by actually me, rather than doing it as the odd, kind of pro bono work and individuals. It's to me to do it as a launch it as a YouTube channel with videos, and perhaps there'll be a course on the website and stuff to do it. And you can still, you know, um, might do some one-to-ones, but that would be at a more premium end. But teaching people on how to market themselves and turn their passion into actually commercial aspects. So yes, I want to share that journey as well, as the kind of more personal eco journey that I'm going on, that I'm sharing via the website. But how you do this, how I plan to commercialize it, and pass that knowledge on to others as well. So that's another aspect of it.
That's fantastic. We're getting near the end. Oh my goodness, we actually have gone over.
Oh, right. Wow. That didn't seem
we've
like
we've
an
actually
hour at
gone
all.
over. Like, you know what?
So,
So doing it
yeah.
doing it a little bit different,
Mm.
and my team didn't say anything or anything. I guess everybody was enjoying the conversation. So we have two questions. We always ask our last two questions. So, what's next for Ken Jordan on this journey?
I think it's what I just said. I want to um, share the journey that I'm taking, but also share um, on the technical side on how I plan to commercialize it, and how that others can do the same, for themselves. And even if not commercializing it, but just the act of, setting up a website and doing a blog and journaling is a great mental thing. It really is a yeah, because that side for me, I was never into kind of writing stuff, and and always telling others and what you need to do, but actually doing it for myself has been, even though I know I haven't been as active on there as much work, I've been extremely busy with work, um, but I do want to share my knowledge on to do this, because, as I said, building the site for myself and building it in the way that I know works well. And I wanted to strip it back. I wanted to be simple to do and update, because I've got lots of other things to do for work. So I needed to make it so that I didn't need to think about it and I can easily go to do it. And I thought, no, this is to share that with others. So that's really the next the next step on this is to share how I do this with others, so that others can learn from it and do it for themselves.
Dr. Clark popped in. Dr. Clark popped in. He said, adding a fish pond to your property would be another source of protein.
Yeah, well, actually, fishing we're so close to the sea, and there's bass fishing here. There's times that you can do that. I haven't fished, so that might be another thing that I might think about. But yes, yes, that's yeah,
Thank you,
fishing is
Dr.
another thing.
Clark. Again, thank you, Dr. Clark, for sharing and asking these great questions. Thank you so much for being with us. And then I always call Dr. Clark our conversation with Tony Mobley ringer because he always
Mm.
comes in and asks some great questions. Ken, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you,
I
Tony.
am very thankful that we were able to have a redo. And I think this was a meaningful, positive conversation. Thank you so much for being with me today. You can watch Conversation with Tony Mobley on YouTube, or you can watch it on my website, conversationwithTonyMobley.com, which was created by Kenn Jordan. Conversation with Tony Mobley is produced by Value Audio Visual Professionals who meet daily on Office Hours Global, hosted by Alex Lindsay. We want to say thank you to Mimo Live. Conversation with Tony Mobley is powered by Mimo Live. We have real conversations with real people. Stay tuned for new episodes of Conversations with Tony Mobley. And we want to thank everyone for being a part of this journey that we're on, 100 plus episodes of Conversation with Tony Mobley. And we ask that you go back and look at some of these conversations. And we hope that you will find something that is meaningful, helpful, useful for you. We want to thank Kenn Jordan again for being a part of this conversation today, for doing the work you do, for being the person who you are. And we want to say happy holidays to everyone. We will see you in 2025. Again, we'll see you in 2025. Happy holidays. Take care. God bless. Bye bye.